Hi, I'm John Claiborne from the Bashful Puppet blog, and we're working on the construction of a prairie dog puppet. This one here, I'm going to be making one in a little different color than he is, and well, two more that'll be like that. And the stage we're at now is we're ready to begin covering the puppet in fabric. We've completely constructed the foam part of the puppet, and it's got its fleece on the inside. So now we're ready to begin the fabric part of the build. And what I've got here is I've got the three sections for the fabric. This is the main piece, main pattern for the fabric that will cover the back of the back of the prairie dog, as well as most of the head. This piece is the piece covers the mouth. Top part of the mouth is mouth's jaw, and this piece here is for the chest or breast part of the fabric to cover the prairie dog. Now I just want to show you how these things go together, and let's see if we can zoom out a little bit so that you can get a little bit more. It looks like we can't do that except manually. Alright, this is how this part works. First, we lay this out on the fabric, and what I've done is I've laid it out and traced it with a Sharpie. This is orange fabric, and I have actually traced it. You can barely see it here in orange all the way around. I've done it once, and then I flipped it over, lined it up, and I traced it again. Made sure that the connector piece right here was in place. Then I set this piece aside. I laid the mouth part over. Notice there's a blue line down the center. I lined that up with this center line on the orange, and then I traced that. Now you'll be looking at it and say, "Oh, John, the pattern looks bigger than what you've cut out." Right, that's right, and I did that intentionally. As you're building the puppets, any foam-bodied puppet, the foam never turns out exactly the same twice, even though you're using the same pattern. So I always like to leave a little bit extra. That way I have something to work with in case it's a little big. If it's a little small, I can always trim away. But if it's a little big and if the fabric is a little bit small, or the foam is a little bit big, and I didn't have the extra fabric, we can be in a difficult situation of having wasted some foam, some fabric. Then I cut it out so that it's all in one piece, and this will cover the back and the nose of the puppet. Now, very quickly, we'll set this aside. The next piece is the breast fabric. This is a little easier to see because there's a contrast here. And just lay the fabric out, trace around it, cut out. On this one, I left about ½ an inch of excess all along the outside, which I'm going to end up using, I'm sure, later as we make the final sewing and fitting for the puppet so it'll work. Alright, once we get that cut out, we're ready to begin fitting it to the fabric, and that's what we're going to cover in the next video segment. This was cutting out the fabric that from the patterns we've already had, and the next we'll actually fit that onto the foam of the puppet. Alright, this is John Claiborne from Bashful Puppet blog. Happy puppet building.